From the late 1960s to the late 1990s, Belfast, Northern Ireland, was embroiled in the Troubles, a conflict between Irish Nationalists and British Loyalists, where over 3,500 men, women, and children were killed. Today, the conflict still leaves its scar on the city in the form, physically, of walls and gates that are still closed at night. Today, we take a look into the darker past of Belfast. Well, hello guys, from Belfast, over here in Shankill, one of the most famous neighborhoods during the Troubles. Now the Troubles were a conflict that mainly took place from the late 1960s to the late 1990s between Irish Republicans and British Loyalists. It still to this day hasn't truly ended, as just the other day 20 masked men went up and smashed up this local pub. They didn't harm anyone physically, but they did destroy the bar. So though most of the violence has ended, it is not completely over. What we're going to do is go around with a local guide that will tell more of the history than I know and show us some of the significant spots, including the infamous Peace Wall, which is just down the street separating the Falls, which is a mainly Irish Catholic neighborhood, from here, Shankill, which is more of a loyalist British area. Now we park here from Black Taxi Tours. Anti-Black Taxi Tours over here in Belfast. It's going to take us around the city and show us some stuff where there's significant things happened during the Troubles on both sides of the conflict.
Belfast would have been the biggest exporter of linen in the world at one time.
Yeah, I actually read that. We went over to the Titanic shipyard.
Yeah.
It's interesting for me.
And with the industry then came the population. People coming in from rural areas.
Right.
Catholic families tended to settle largely in parts of North and West Belfast. Protestant families settling mostly in the east, south, and also parts of the north. So they're coming in like clans and families and sticking to their own.
So sort of like both sides of the river.
Yeah, they were bringing with them their differences and conflict on this island between Protestants and Catholics for over 400 years.
You're from Belfast, right?
I'm from Belfast. I live in the Shankill Road.
Oh, okay, good. Right down the street.
Yeah, I lived in Belfast all my life. We're going to visit parts of Belfast today that were greatly affected during these troubles. We'll visit the Falls Road, the Shankill Road. We'll be stopping off at various wall murals, memorials. We'll visit the Peace Wall, and I will explain the history.
Awesome. So this is one set.
This is one set. These will be locked manually tonight at 7 o'clock. So this block of flats in front of us with the red panelling is a famous block of flats in Belfast. This is Divis Tower Block. When the British Army were deployed here in 1969, they took over the top 2 floors of those flats and they built an army base at the top. They built an outpost at the top. That would have given them a panoramic view of this area. This would have been one of the tallest buildings around at that time. This would have been a hotbed of IR activity.
Right here. Yeah, because we're right here on the border.
Yeah, you can look over to the right there, you can see just beyond the roofs, the houses, so you can see the tops of the wire. That's the top of the Peace Wall there. This particular Peace Wall starts at the edge of the city centre behind us on the right. Right. It meanders along this right hand side. It runs for nearly 2 miles. From the city centre up to the foot of the mountains in front of us. These type of wall murals have been painted in this part of Ireland for over 100 years now.
So it's nothing new.
No, the murals would have originated on the end of the old street corners, on gable end walls. And it's often the local paramilitary leader who would have decided what murals go where. Right. So there would have been 4 main paramilitary groups in this country during these troubles. 2 from the Catholic side, 2 from the Protestant side. The 2 Catholic groups were the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, the INLA, Irish National Liberation Army. The 2 Protestant groups were the the UVF, the Ulster Volunteer Force, and the UDA, the Ulster Defence Association. There's been over 3,700 people who have been murdered here from 1969.
Yeah, that's the thing. You think of like the UK and Ireland as like a civilized place, but not so long ago it was like bombs going off in the street.
Yeah, that's it. Innocent people are often murdered because of where they lived and how they identified themselves as being Catholic and Irish or British and Protestant. It was as simple as that for many victims. You can see Che Guevara there on Block Cuba.
Yeah, so did they receive like support from Cuba or like?
Well, they by supporting other groups and other causes, it helps to generate support for them. You have people like Colonel Gaddafi as well, North Africa, was literally subcontracting.
Libya sent them guns.
Yeah, they sent them Semtex and guns and stuff. And then you see support for Palestine there. You can see there showing solidarity there with Palestinian political parties.
Right.
Sorry, Palestinian political prisoners. Sorry. So when it flares up over in Gaza, you would see lots of Palestinian flags flying, and these Catholic areas and Protestant areas that often fly Israeli flags then to show their support.
I never noticed that.
One says white, the other says black. By supporting other groups and other causes, it will help generate support for them.
Right.
We support you, you support us. It has that effect as well.
When World War II broke out, that's when the IRA seized their...
Yeah, but they felt that this would be a good opportunity. Britain, they're again focusing their attentions in Europe, and they would attack from within and try and bring about the unification of Ireland during World War II. It didn't succeed. When World War II had ended, the IRA abandoned their campaign. There was no real support anymore.
Right.
And they just gave it up. The 50s and early 60s then became very peaceful years.
I guess if they had signed a treaty with Germany, they might have. But that didn't happen. What year were you born, Mark?
I was born in 1971.
Okay, so you remember this.
Things had already started before I was born, but things just intensified.
How was it when you were a kid? Did you have to like stay out of certain areas of the city?
There would have been areas that would have been off limits to me. Well, mostly I'm a Protestant. I live in the Shankill Road, so Catholic areas I wouldn't have been in Catholic areas. In the city centre of Belfast, you wouldn't have asked anybody their name or where they live. These things can.
So the centre, you just don't talk about it.
Yeah, the city centre. By asking someone their name or where they lived, it would have been like asking them, "Are you a Protestant? Are you a Catholic?" And you wouldn't really want to know. You wouldn't want to. So you never really asked anybody their name or where they lived or anything. You see, you had a constant presence of military in the streets, police and army. But some people welcomed that. Some people felt that this was keeping them safe. Belfast city centre, it was a neutral area. Everybody mixed in the city. Everybody went into the city centre. There's no way of identifying anyone as being a Protestant or Catholic by their appearance. Would have been a ring of steel around the city centre. There was no vehicles allowed in after 11 a.m. It was pedestrians only. You had to walk through search boxes and turnstiles. We were physically searched and had metal detectors run over you. And you could have been searched 20 or 30 times while you were in the city centre. In and out of shops, everybody wanted to frisk you and look inside your bags and make sure you weren't carrying explosives.
Something out of Half-Life or something dystopian. That's crazy, man.
So
not so long ago.
So if you look along this street, you'll see the security gates further along the street, and then you'll see the Protestant streets
right down this street.
You'll see the Protestant streets beyond the gates. So all throughout the generations, there's been outbreaks between these communities up and down those streets, and it tumbles down father to son, father to son. Over here on the left, there's a memorial dedicated to D Company IRA. D Company IRA, based here in the Lower Falls. And you see these memorials all around these working class areas. Every other street corner there's a mural or memorial. They won't have time to stop at everything. And it's on the side of the Sinn Féin headquarters. Sinn Féin are the political wing of the IRA. Sinn Féin means ourselves alone.
Is that their headquarters?
That's their headquarters. It's a Bobby Sands.
Is it still their headquarters?
Well, that's still their main office. Any big announcements they make is usually outside these offices.
Gotcha.
And when those shutters open, you can see it's all bulletproof doors, bulletproof windows. Those concrete bollards around the perimeter were there to try to prevent the car bombs from parking up till it. What happened?
It's that man, it's one of the other drivers. They finished off a turn, but just one cracked in on him.
What is it in this one, is it?
It's a TX1. There's a TX here transferred in the TX1. So I just ran the man fan and back.
I get the man.
Try and get this one.
Very old, these taxis.
Yeah, I was about to say.
People like to do the tours in the old taxis to work these areas, these troubles in. It's more authentic that way, but
Is this one of the original ones?
well, this is this is old enough. Like, it's not 50 years old.
It's been there.
It's seen its days.
Ah, sorry, but to get hit by one of the famous black taxis. And that's the headquarters building.
So this is Bombay Street. Bombay Street was completely burnt to the ground on the 15th of August 1969.
The whole thing was
The
burnt.
whole street. It used to run a lot further down there in front of us. And this is footage you can see that was taken off this street on the night of the 15th of August. You can see,
Ah, yeah.
see the entire street being burnt down there. And the bottom three pictures then of the surrounding streets off the Clonards, you can see the first barricades going up there, and you can see a double-decker bus blocking the street there. A burnt out double-decker bus. You can see all the bricks and curbstones piled up in the next shot. And the last photograph down the left is a burnt out lorry and a burnt out car blocking the street, and you can see a British soldier in the footage of that one. So those are the first barricades going up, and they evolved into these more permanent structures. You can see the peace wall here on the left, and where that wall is now, there would have been a street there at one time. It's a street called Coupar Street. On the left hand side of Coupar Street, running down, live mostly Protestant families, and the right hand side mostly Catholics. Murder, someone killed by police or army. He's in excessive force, sometimes using plastic bullets or rubber bullets. A plastic bullet there.
Oh, nice.
It's a modern one. That would have been fired about 10 years ago.
Yeah, you're getting hit with that.
Yeah.
Take
They used to be a bit bigger, a bit harder, and heavier, and it's fired at about 160 miles an hour.
They fired that out of like a grenade launcher.
like a flare gun type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Probably like
And they're supposed to fire and aim from the waist down, or hit the ground a couple of feet in front of you. It takes most of the impact out of it, comes up and hits you, and you won't want to fight anymore after being hit with one of those.
Right.
They sometimes misuse them. People have been hit in the head, in the
They
face, and upper body.
they
and
say,
killing them.
it's an accident.
Yeah, 17 people were killed from these. People who live near the gates, near the walls, they want them to stay. They feel more safe at night, so the gates being locked.
So they're actually for it.
Yeah, the government want to remove the walls and open up the gates to people who live near them and want to keep them. You can see the security gates in front of us. These have been the last ones to lock. See them do not leave their hand stereo when gates are in motion. They'll be locked electronically by remote from the local police station.
That was the main city gates, the main peaceful gates that we just went through.
The door on the wall or metal door. There would have been a street here one time that used to slid through up here.
Right through there.
Yeah, so you can see the Protestant streets further up there.
Yeah.
There would have been all those terrace streets along here, and they were knocked down.
So they knocked down a bunch of houses when they built the wall.
Yeah, no, when they were building the wall around about 1980, there was houses all redeveloped here. There was houses knocked down, streets knocked down. This was left waste ground for some years, and then these are private houses that has been built back in their place. So they would have looked a lot different back then. But the peace wall today, the government want to remove the peace wall. It's the people who live near the wall want to keep it.
Right.
The government done a consultation about 11 years ago, and they found that almost 90% of the people near the wall wanted to stay. So the government said, well, that's fine, you just have to live here. We're coming back in 2022. We're going to ask again, we want this resolved and the walls to be removed. That's not going to happen. A lot of violence that broke out around those main set of security gates.
Yeah, online it says that they were supposed to be torn down this year, but I guess that's not happening.
That's not going to happen. I think it's going to take a bit more time, and perhaps maybe focusing more with children and getting children educated together from the beginning of the school lives. Over 90% of the schools in this country today are segregated. So the government have announced last year that they're now going to prioritise funding for integrated schools. Bill Clinton visited here in 1995. He signed this wall. He read a message of peace. People like Nelson Mandela have signed this wall. There's been a Dalai Lama, celebrities, film stars, and perhaps a million tourists throughout the years have signed the wall. Do you want to sign the wall yourself?
Yeah, I'll sign the wall. Why not?
There we go. Some people write their name. Date that they're here. Some people write a message of peace. It's whatever you feel. Let's find a spot there and you can sign your name.
Alright.
If someone comes along and paints some graffiti art over the top of it.
If I was taller, I'd go up there. Let's see. To do the right thing is never easy. In school, history was the only class I showed up for. So I mean, like, in college, I went to history class and I dropped out and joined the army. So that's about it. It's always been fascinating to me, especially the lesser known parts. Like, I mean, the Troubles is well known, obviously, in this region, but if you ask somebody else outside the country, they might not know everything.
The bottom of the street on the right, there would have been an army barracks. It was North Hard Street Army Barracks. There's always bombings and shootings and riots. There would have been metal ramps that come up out of the ground here, about 2 feet high. You had to stop here. The army would have checked the registration of your vehicle. Once it cleared their checks that had been reported as hijacked or stolen, they lowered the ramps up into the annex. Police and the army would have searched you, the vehicle, the occupants before you were allowed to proceed. You can see the gates again. I'm just trying to back it on the Catholic side. The IRA put a massive car bomb just here, trying to blow the army barracks up. They decorate these areas every summer as well. They decorate them with Union flags and Ulster flags and Scottish flags. There'll be red, white, blue bunting across the streets. They used to paint the curbstones red, white, blue and the lampposts red, white, blue. And this will coincide with what we call the marching season, where they'll be parading, marching, they'll be celebrating battles that were fought over 300 years ago, which they would feel is an important part of their existence in this area. In the corner of this street, you'll see a mural of the Ulster Tower, which was built to commemorate the 36th Ulster Division, who had suffered mass casualties on the 1st of July 1916 at the first day of the Battle of the Somme. The first day of the Battle of the Somme was the bloodiest day ever in British war history, and the 36th Ulster Division were the only British division to obtain their objective on that day.
That's interesting.
Nobody else made it out of no man's land apart from them. When they broke through the German lines, no reinforcements came to help them, and they were literally wiped out. There was scarcely a house or a family in these streets that wasn't affected on that day. In many of these homes, multiple telegrams were received, where brothers, fathers and sons fell together the same day in the same field. These people are immensely proud of that sacrifice. They'll have psalm societies in these areas where they'll do fundraising events throughout the year to raise monies to go to the graveyards of Belgium and France to honour their dead, lay wreaths and have ceremonies. The ones that don't go together, these monuments which will be strewn all around these working class Protestant areas. So it's a big event for this community. They're very proud of that sacrifice that was made by their loved ones.
Oh, it is something to be proud of. This.
These events will help mark and from all that they formed the Ulster Volunteer Force. They trained themselves up as an army. 100,000 men were trained up as an army. They acquired guns and munitions from Germany and prepared themselves for war in the event that Home Rule is implemented in Ireland. The Irish Catholics done likewise. They had formed the Irish Volunteers to protect themselves, who again acquired guns and munitions from Germany.
So all from Germany.
Germans were making good business at this time. This is all on even World War I.
Playing both sides.
Home Rule is due to be implemented in Ireland in 1914. Just as all that was about to happen, World War I broke out.
Right.
Home Rule was then shelved till after the war was over.
Gotcha.
And Edward Carson rallied his Ulster Volunteers. They went off into the British Army, largely making up the 36th Ulster Division, and they suffered those mass casualties on the 1st of July 1916.
So they were the only ones that achieved their goal on the sun.
They were the only ones that break through the German lines that day. No reinforcements came to help them. They were literally wiped out. 90% of the men that left this road never came home.
That's crazy.
90%.
90% is
There was 9 Victoria Crosses awarded for valour on that day to all the British divisions.
For those of you that don't know, Victoria Cross is the equivalent to the Medal of Honor.
4 of those crosses were awarded to men from the 36th Ulster Division. You'll see a memorial dedicated to the Biardo Bar. The Biardo Bar would have stood in this corner. It was attacked by the IRA. 5 people were murdered in that attack, 3 men and 2 women. 2 IRA gunmen burst in the front doors of that pub on a Thursday night. They opened up on the customers with machine guns. And while the shooting was taking place, there was a 3rd man at the side door of the pub setting a bomb. When the shooting finishes inside the bar, any survivors aren't going to try and escape the door the 2 gunmen had just left. They're going to try and go to the side door, and that's where the bomb would be. So gun and bomb attacks all bars.
Complex attack. So this was like the center of it.
Yeah, so they shot the place up to a bomb, and you can see there, see the one there, see the 3rd one along from the bottom, or 3rd one along from the left.
Yeah.
That's the 4-step in bar there, and that was shot up and bombed. 5 people were killed in that attack. The far one there you can see on the right was the fish shop. That was the last attack that would have happened on this road, and it was on the 23rd of October 1993. 2 IRA bombers went into a fishmonger's shop. They were pretending to deliver fish. It was a busy Saturday afternoon. The place was hiding the shoppers. They were pretending to deliver fish. They set a box on the counter containing a bomb. It exploded, killing 9 men, women and children from this area.
I saw the plaque for that.
The government would like to remove the murals. They feel that we're never going to have a lasting peace as long as we keep these murals and glorifying paramilitary groups. It's disrespectful to those thousands of innocent people who've been murdered during these troubles. And each side will use the same argument where one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, and they want to keep the murals.
Yeah, which in a way, I mean, that is a true statement.
Yeah, it all depends how you want to interpret things, how you want to see things.
I think that history should be preserved.
Yeah, well, that's it. The people think that people feel it's part of their tradition. Now they've been painting murals in these areas for well over 100 years.
Right.
It's
not like something that just started.
It's not like something that's just happened. And just within the last few years, it's been going on for well over 100 years.
Are you gonna drive over to that?
Yeah, I'm driving over close to it. There's a bit of an optical illusion beside it. There's 2 hooded men pointing rifles whenever we go to keep the rifles aimed at us.
It's all that.
The locals call them the Shankill Mona Lisas.
The Shankill Mona Lisa.
See the 3 towers there?
Yeah.
Of remember, respect and resolution. There would have been a more offensive type mural on that wall, and they took it off maybe 10 years ago and put those 3 towers there. And what they're stating is that remember that it's okay to remember the past is the past. There's no way of going back to change what's already happened. We can learn from it, but we can never go back to change it. And respect that if we're to have a lasting peace, we need to find a way to respect each other's traditions, religions and cultures. And resolution that there will be disagreements, but as long as those disagreements are resolved peacefully and democratically, well, that way we'll all be living in a better world.
We can wish. Mark, thanks so much for your expertise and your knowledge.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Learned a lot from this black taxi tour.
Yeah, I'd like to.
So check them out if you're ever in Belfast.